Morning, children, and welcome back to another session of our chapter Earth as a Planet. And before I commence, let me just briefly recapitulate what I taught previously. Now, previously, I spoke about and explained to you about the actual shape of the Earth and various evidences given to prove the shape of the Earth. Now, today, I'll be teaching you about various factors which make Earth a unique planet or a habitable planet. Now, I'm uploading the pictures which will show what are the factors, what are the features that make Earth a habitable planet, and I'll keep explaining you gradually, and this will be also related to the text given in your book. Now, the first thing which you will see over here, the first feature, now you will see it is distance from the sun, the position of the Earth from the sun. Now, the sun is at an optimum distance from the sun. So it is neither very hot nor very cold because it is third in the position. And if the position of this sun, of the earth, had changed, meaning to say it was slightly closer to the sun, then it would have become very hot for the people to live on the earth. And if this earth was little further from the sun, then life would be very difficult because everything would freeze because of the lack of heat. The next point in the book is the temperature. Now, related to this picture only, the earth is the third planet from the sun. So the average temperature of the earth is 17 degrees. Now again they've said that if this temperature changed, if it was little higher, then it would have become very hot, and if it was little lower, then it would have become very cold and things would have perished. They mentioned in your text that other two terrestrial planets, Mercury and Venus, you will see they are the first and the second planet respectively, and they are also very hot. But Venus, which is the second planet from the sun, is hotter than Mercury. Now, Mercury is supposed to be the first planet, but unfortunately, they have said that Venus is the hottest planet. Now, the reason behind this is that the atmosphere of Venus consists of carbon dioxide, dense carbon dioxide. So, when the heat of the sun falls on this planet, all the heat is absorbed, retained, and it is not thrown back. So that is why this planet is the hottest planet, and Mercury is also called Venus is also called the morning and evening star. Now, the next factor which affects life on the earth or which makes Earth a habitable planet is the Earth's atmosphere. Now you will see here it's written that Earth's atmosphere is made up of many gases, that is nitrogen, oxygen, argon, carbon dioxide, and they've given you the percentage. So nitrogen 78%, oxygen 21%, carbon dioxide, argon, helium, all that constitute to less than 0.1%. Now, the atmosphere receives heat from the sun by solar radiation and loses heat by Earth's radiation, meaning to say that when the sun rays fall on the earth, it does not heat the atmosphere, but it heats the land. And then this heat from the land is radiated back. Now, the earth's atmosphere, as you see and as I've read earlier, is made up of all these gases which support life. Now, another very important gas which is present over here, or another layer which is called the ozone layer, which is present in the atmosphere, it is very important because it absorbs the harmful ultraviolet radiation of the sun. Another importance of atmosphere is that it prevents the loss of heat from the earth's surface and helps to keep the earth warm. Now, whatever I've explained you, the points are given in the text. The next feature, water. Now, Earth is a watery planet, And we have read earlier in the beginning that 70% of the earth surface is covered by water. And this water is responsible for creating a moderating effect on the climate of the earth. The regulatory, the structural, functional system of this water affects the earth. There is an exchange of materials and energy within the ecosystem as well as the adjoining ecosystem. Now we will see that the land where we are staying, the earth where we are staying, comprises of this water. Now this water is very helpful for life on earth. And there's another picture which I've uploaded is the water cycle. Now you learn this diagram that waters you will see from the rivers, lakes, etc., all the water bodies on the earth. Due to heat, the water evaporates. And when it evaporates, it reaches the cooler layers in the atmosphere, condenses, forms cloud, saturation level is reached, and again it falls down in the form of precipitation. So you will see that this water is in a continuous movement and a cycle, which is also called the hydrological cycle. So water is evaporated, it returns back to the surface of the earth. And water can absorb enormous amount of heat. Like during the day, the water bodies absorb lot of heat, so the earth remains fairly cool. At night, this heat is released and it keeps the surface of the earth little warm and prevents it from freezing. The next factor which affects or makes life possible on the earth is lithosphere. Now, I've uploaded the picture of lithosphere. Now, what exactly is a lithosphere? Lithosphere is the outermost solid crust of the earth, made up of rocks, and it provides nutrient soils to support plant life as well as human life. So it is that layer of the earth where life is possible. And another factor which influences life on the earth is biosphere. Now, biosphere, let me just read what exactly is a biosphere. Now, the vast network of all interconnected ecosystem make the biosphere. Thus, biosphere is that part of the earth system which includes air, land and water, and this is the life zone of the earth. So it is a narrow realm where it has the interaction or it consists of the atmosphere, lithosphere and hydrosphere, and provides all the necessities for the species living on the earth in the form of light, heat, water, food and habitat. And you can see over here that biosphere consists of lithosphere, hydrosphere and atmosphere. Now children, I have uploaded the text of what I have explained just now, and just read the text related to the pictures which I showed you. Now in between you will see that I have underlined some portions in the text. Now these are important points, so you learn those points only while you are learning the factors which affect or the factors which make life possible on the earth. Now children, we come to the life-giving circles. Now, they have explained over here, the first circle which they have explained here is the nutrition cycle. Now, this nutrition cycle is the relationship between the living and the non-living things in our environment. It shows the interdependence of all living things on the earth. Now, if you see this picture below, you will see that the first thing on the left hand side below the sun is the autotrophs, that is the producers. So the living things are divided into three groups: producers, consumers and decomposers. So plants are the producers because they make their own food by the process of photosynthesis. Now this plant is consumed by human beings as well as herbivorous and carnivorous animals. They are called consumers. So these are dependent upon producers. So you will see that below they have given decomposers. Now decomposers means that when man dies, the animals die, they get decomposed, the bacteria acts upon them, and then it makes the soil fertile because the remains of these animals and human beings are mixed in the soil, and again this rich soil is used for by the plants to grow. So this cycle goes on, and this is called the nutrition cycle. The second cycle is the carbon cycle. Now, carbon is the basic raw material of all life. All living things contain carbon. The main reservoir of carbon is the atmosphere, where it exists as carbon dioxide. So we know that another important gas in the atmosphere is carbon dioxide, which plays a very important role. Now, this carbon dioxide is utilized mainly by the plants to make their food in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. So during this process of photosynthesis, carbon dioxide is fixed as starch by plants. And come down, I've underlined the portion. When plants die and get buried in the soil, they degrade, they slowly decompose, and due to pressure they become compact and hard, and then they result in the formation of coal and oil, which contain large amount of carbon. The next paragraph I've underlined, which states during respiration, all living things, whether it's plants or animals or human beings, they utilize atmospheric oxygen and release carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. The burning of carbon containing fuels also release the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So whatever carbon dioxide, if you see the figure on top, whatever carbon dioxide is utilized by the plants by the process of photosynthesis or by living organisms, it is later by the living organisms by the process of respiration is released back into the atmosphere. So this cycle goes on. Then they've said that the carbon from carbon dioxide, which is taken by green plants from the environment through photosynthesis, is returned to the environment through respiration, decomposition, and burning of fuels. So this cyclic movement of carbon, which is obtained from the atmosphere by the organisms, and from the organisms when it goes back to the atmosphere, is known as carbon cycle. And when the level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is imbalanced, that is more of carbon dioxide on the surface of the earth, then it leads to global warming, and then the life on the earth is not possible. Then children, we have the nitrogen cycle. Atmosphere is the largest reservoir, 78% approximately, containing free nitrogen. Now this nitrogen is taken by the plants in the form of nitrates from the soil, and animals obtain nitrogen by eating plants or animals which eat plants. Meaning to say, the plants, they utilize nitrogen also to grow. This plant is eaten by animals, and these animals are eaten by human beings or other animals. So this way nitrogen is passed on. Now nitrogen is returned to the cycle through manure, excreta, that is the remains of the animals and the human beings, and earthly remains of plants and animals and microorganisms. And the last we come is the oxygen cycle. You know that oxygen is the basis of life. So living things take in oxygen from the atmosphere. They use it to release energy from the food they eat. Oxygen is also used together with carbon, hydrogen and nitrogen to build new molecules in their bodies. This oxygen, how it is released back into the atmosphere? By the green plants, because they take in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen during photosynthesis, and this oxygen is utilized by human beings. So this cycle is then balanced. So these cycles are nature's mechanism to maintain balance in the ecosystem. Now children, below are terms to remember, and you learn these terms. Whatever points I've underlined, you just learn them in the text. Now I'll be uploading some questions, and I have written some pages. I have written against the question the page number, and I have also written the answer of give reasons. So when you will see, you will find it easier for you to learn. Thank you.